everyone, it's Lauren from RVA's very own society, and welcome to the Tyrant's legendary walkthrough of Halo Wars. Today's mission is Dome of Light, so please don't forget, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Dome of Light? Yeah, that doesn't sound very ominous at all.
Please, God, take me now.
So, it's an energy shield that they can deploy on the planet.
Yes, Captain. We can't see through it. The Covenant are up to something.
Agreed. We need to find out what that is. Can we use the ship's cannons and take it out directly?
We may destroy whatever's under there. Covenant shield technology is susceptible to superheated plasma. Aren't we field testing some plasma-based rhinos?
Pillar of Autumn inventory shows they have some prototypes.
It may take some time to get the right power settings. I'll need to be on the ground to do that.
Professor, Sergeant Forge, let's get that shield down.
Babysitting again?
Well, this little field trip is a bust. Anders, is there anything out here except for that huge alien dome thing?
Scans seem clear. Shall we see what's inside?
Looks like we only shook the beehive. We got multiple bogeys incoming.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Tyrant's legendary walkthrough for Halo Wars. Today we are doing Mission 6 entitled The Dome of Light. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Dome of Light is, it is nothing more than a gigantic bubble shield, aka Halo 3's very own combat condom. The cool thing about this mission is that you start out with your own base. Your key here is to upgrade things as much as possible. You have 3 Spartans to help you defend, as well as Sergeant Forge and that bitch Anders. Speaking of Anders, she has a supply air pad right there over there on the right hand side, and that is what you'll use to summon your Rhino tanks. These are upgraded tanks that can fire plasma weapons. Kind of makes you wonder why we didn't get to see those in any other Halo game, especially since they were stored on the Pillar of Autumn. They arrive pretty fast, but before you start deploying them, since you can only deploy one at a time, wait until you upgrade your base first. I recommend 4 supply pads and 1 reactor, and you can also use the Marines that you have on station to capture the other 2 reactors nearby. One's there to the lower left and the other to the far right. For the most part, the Covenant will not attack these for the first several minutes of the mission, and it'll help you to churn out upgrades much faster. So pretty much what you want to do here is just upgrade as much as possible. As far as your turrets go, upgrade them to heavy, first obviously light, then medium, then large, or in their case heavy. And also equip them with missile pods, because you're going to have Banshees dogging your base the entire time. There is also a side objective where if you kill 50 Banshees, you get something. I don't know what it is. And so if you have, obviously, missile pods installed in your turrets, they will shoot the Banshees down and will gain credit towards that objective, as well as defend your base. My other high recommendation is you take 2 of your Spartans and occupy the 2 defense towers nearby. More specifically, Douglas, the guy with the rocket launcher, put him in one of the towers, and I also recommend the Spartan with the chain gun in the other tower. They will survive a lot longer. So we'll go ahead and get that squared away.
Fortress upgrade complete.
Going.
Okay, so the objective of this mission is to place 5 Rhino tanks in the places that Anders specifies. She will do that as the mission goes on.
Enemy engagement. All units.
But you want to try to do them all at once, because especially nodes 1, 2, and 4 are going to be attacked constantly by Banshees, and you do have to keep all Rhinos active, all 5, in order to pass the mission. Now, if one does get destroyed, it's not that big of a deal. You can replace it, it just takes longer, and one thing I did learn about this mission is that speed is of essence. If you take your time, the Covenant are going to advance, they're going to have time to build up their forces, and you'll be forced to turtle into your base. I do not recommend this option, especially since the Covenant do attack with fully upgraded forces, shielded wraiths, shielded locusts, and shielded, or not shielded, but fully upgraded hunters as well. Your turrets, for the most part, for the first few minutes of the mission, will be able to repel Covenant forces, but do keep in mind, as the mission goes on, they're going to start sending hunters to your base, and once you surpass the half point in the mission, locusts as well, and most of those are going to be coming from the right-hand side. The hunters, on the other hand, typically come from the left and above. So upgrades are, of course, very important here. You want to try to upgrade your max population as soon as possible. As far as tanks are concerned, they're going to be a huge thing here. You want to upgrade both your Scorpions and your Wolverines. You're going to be using a 1-for-1 factor here. I find that using a force fully made of Wolverines and Scorpions is more than enough to take out just about anything that the Covenant has to offer in terms of the first portion of this mission. Once those are fully upgraded, we're going to basically hit all 5 nodes at one time to go as quickly as possible to make the Covenant, well, in short, not be able to upgrade their forces to attack your base. The first time I played this mission, interesting fact, was a 90-minute battle of hell. I did actually pass the mission, but it was absolutely crazy because I did take my time putting the nodes in place. I had to replace a lot of the Rhino tanks, and that did not help either. And of course, in the meantime, my own base was getting attacked. So the faster you can do this, the better. It does take a lot of micromanaging, but it is worth it. Also, try to keep Forge alive as long as possible because he can help defend your base as well. So we're going to go ahead and capture this other reactor right here. And when you upgrade to 4, you can basically do whatever you want to. So we're going to destroy this. Go ahead and upgrade that as well. You do want to put a research pad on here so you can not only reduce the time that your reinforcements come out, but you can also upgrade, well, pretty much anything you could possibly need. It will help reduce your churn out time for units, which does help in case your units do get completely destroyed. I'm going to do my best to keep my units alive as long as possible. Definitely utilize the Spirit of Fire's healing ability. And you're going to want to go back and forth between your forces and your base once you finally actually start deploying to the 5 branches. A lot of times I use my healing ability not so much on my own forces if I can manage them properly, but on the Rhino tanks to keep them alive so I don't have to constantly replace them. Now, the great thing about the Spartans that are previously given to you here is that you can revive them. Again, it is highly recommended. They do help defend your base quite a bit, and as you can see, having the upgraded missile turrets here is extremely useful. Keep an eye on the turrets because they are heavy targets, and you do not want to lose any of them, especially since your base will be assaulted, and if you're away protecting the rhinos or getting the rhinos to their proper locations, it's, you know, your base is going to be heavily taxed. So you want to have as many defense options as possible. Now, so far, the units that have been sent here have not been that powerful. Very nice. But very soon, they're going to start sending hunters. And those hunters are going to have plasma beams, or whatever you want to call them. And they're very taxing on buildings and vehicles alike. They're essentially the heavy option. So go ahead and start upgrading the tanks. You want the canister option as well as the super turret, or whatever they call it. Helps it turn faster, gives it a little bit more power as well. And we're going to upgrade the Wolverine, I was going to say Marines, as much as possible too. Now I want to try to shelter Sergeant Forge for now because we are going to need him later. He is currently the only Gauss Hog we have on the team and does provide significant firepower. We're going to use this Spartan right here. Let's see if I can fix this first. Apparently we have other units on the way. I do want to send him eventually up there to revive the other Spartan. But if you are getting overwhelmed, it is a good idea to send him back to the base because the turrets are excellent backup. And again, you are going to have constant Banshee fire, which will deter them from any units that are attacking your base as far as ground level is concerned. Again, fight any attempts to... Whoa, he's in bad shape. So we're going to go ahead and heal Sergeant Forge. I think that guy's pretty much ready to be revived at this point, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Put him back inside the tower to help him defend the base. I think that guy's alright.
Spartan is back up.
Alright, so we're going to put this guy back here. You don't want to put them out in the middle because the turrets cannot defend them if they are out in the open like that, further away from the base. You want to start churning out Scorpions as quickly as possible as well as Wolverines. Simply just to add a little extra firepower to your base defenses so that when the hunters do start attacking, you're not so devastated. You want to try to repel these forces as quickly as possible. Help your Marines, help your Spartans. It will pay off in the long run.
More resources required.
Also, as you can see, it helps to gather resources. Upgrading your supply pads to the super supply pads definitely helps, so don't hesitate. Like I said, you start out in a pretty good position considering that you're not being attacked right away, so upgrade as much as possible and as quickly as possible. Now, as you can see, these units are no match for your tanks or your Spartans, so it's good to help out your watchtower as much as possible. Keep in mind the shields do regenerate, I think, maybe not. But they do definitely offer an extra layer of protection for your Spartans. They're very useful. Definitely treat them with care.
All units.
Maybe they heal over time. I've never really actually sat down and watched how the Spartan armor works. Not in this game, anyway. Upgrading your Wolverines definitely helps against infantry and aerial attacks. So do all of that. And like I said, we're going for a one-for-one thing here. Sometimes if my units are destroyed, I will give a slight edge to the Scorpions just to give a little extra firepower. Towards the end of the mission, you're going to be fighting off buildings, not just units. And the Scorpions are far superior to that. By the way, having Douglas in that tower definitely helps against Banshees. He's got a rocket launcher. Perfect against aerial units. Of course, the Spartan laser is pretty good too. But I prefer to have him on the ground helping out my other guys.
All units.
Between skirmishes, I highly recommend retreating to the base so they are not caught off guard. And of course, they have the backup of the turrets as well. Here's the giant combat condom. Protection for all things for people who have nothing to hide. Of course, apparently they do have something to hide, so that doesn't count. Okay, so the hunters have arrived here. As you can see, you want to focus all of your units on one pair at a time. Do not disperse their suppression fire, otherwise they will overwhelm you. Hunters are the top thing to take out because they are by far the most devastating. And of course, if you have the canister ability on your tanks, that is extremely effective against the hunters. Let's see if I can just roll out a couple of these guys a little bit faster, just so I have a little bit more firepower here.
Local units.
As you can see, the hunters fell pretty quickly here. Again, concentrate all your fire on one unit at a time. Do not let your units, I guess, auto-select, because they'll disperse their fire among the infantry, and it's just going to slow you down. It's going to make each vehicle far more vulnerable. And another Spartan is down. Fantastic. Alright. Poor Douglas. He just can't stop dying, can we? I guess he's the Kenny of the Omega team. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and speed up our units. You're also going to want to max out your population so you can have the full amount of Scorpions and Wolverines to start your massive ground strike.
Enemy engagement.
This is a relatively small map. Like I said, there's basically 5 little branches plus the little node where you're currently hiding. So we're going to use that next as well. Oh, yes, that. Okay, so we definitely need to upgrade our reactor to gain that extra ability for the Scorpion tanks.
All units.
And you definitely want to do that. And why are they not moving? Go. I will say one thing that I have had a problem with this mission is that it just seems to take the units forever to figure out where to go. But again, a good strategy here is try to keep your units alive as long as possible. Do not look at them as disposable income.
Enemy engagement.
And there goes one now. It definitely helps your score in this mission too. You know, I have yet to achieve a gold status on any legendary mission. I think bronze or silver is the best I've gotten so far, so I'm going to see if I can break that this time around.
All units.
Especially since I've had a fair amount of experience on this mission at this point. So let's go ahead and upgrade the population. We'll go ahead and as soon as we have the resources, we're going to go ahead and upgrade the reactor too. Oh, jeez. Okay, that was just a Banshee. Go ahead and heal your units. Again, you want to keep them alive as long as possible. It does help your score significantly, and oh Jesus, 2 pairs of hunters are attacking my reactor. Yes, go ahead and defend this because you do want 4 reactor nodes so you can research your tanks to the max, as well as your Wolverines. After that, it really doesn't matter quite as much because your vehicles will retain their research even if a reactor is destroyed. But keep them alive as long as possible. As you can see, the Covenant attacks are getting a little bit more aggressive now. So we're getting to a point where we really don't want to hold out too much longer. So again, your main focus here after the upgrades is to go ahead and just deploy your ground forces. Make them as massive as possible. And yes, that is what she said. But definitely make sure that you've got every upgrade possible to your vehicles to make them far more deadly. See, look at that. I mean, this is where Wolverines really come in handy against ground infantry. They aren't too great against vehicles and heavy ground vehicles. But it definitely does help to keep them alive. Also, keep in mind, I don't know if they do on this mission, but the longer you keep units alive, the more, I guess, combat kudos they earn, stars. I don't know if that's reserved for Spartans only. I'm not entirely sure, but I've noticed that they do seem to get a little bit more powerful. Or maybe that's just my imagination.
Wolverine, moving. Moving. Feeling fine.
And from what I can tell, only infantry can pick up supplies. Vehicles cannot. I'm not really sure why that's the case. That's a little bit cheap, in my opinion. So, okay, reactor's fine. We're getting attacked again. Once again, focus primarily on the hunters. When you're getting attacked like this, retreat back to your base. Your units will continue firing, but you'll also have the added backup of the turrets as well. See, my tank is about to, there it goes. I'm trying to keep as much pressure on as I can, but the hunters are devastating. So I'm trying to concentrate all firepower on them, and they just took out 2 of my Scorpions. Jeez. This is slowing down progress a little bit, and the constant attacks on your base will do that, unfortunately.
More resources required.
So it looks like our Wolverines are pretty much intact, so the Scorpions are what we're going to start churning out next.
All units.
And we're just defending our base as much as possible. I'm trying to keep my units alive rather than having to just churn them out constantly, because that will ultimately take longer if you do that. And the longer you take, the more advanced the Covenant forces become. See, we've already started sending more hunters. I mean, these attacks are constant. There's a lot of micromanaging involved in this mission. So the hunters are your big top priority here.
Back up.
On the target.
All units.
I'll do it. Moving out. Scorpion fueled and ready. Let's ride.
Okay, so we're turtling back into the base.
All units. Enemy engagement. All
And the
units.
reactor is getting attacked once again. Okay, we're a little bit too... You do want to try to keep this reactor alive, again, until you can get all things research top-notch. It gets a little bit tougher as the Covenant start attacking your base more often.
Base under attack.
But again, when they do, concentrate all fire on the hunters. They're the most deadly and they have the most power. It looks like these hunters don't have the full upgrades. They look like they're just peons, if you will.
You bet. You bet.
So again, there's a lot of micromanaging while you're doing this and you're trying to keep your reactors alive. Go ahead and continue trying to churn out as many vehicles as possible to get your force out there as quickly as you possibly can. We're only at 50% capacity at this point, so yes, please keep going. We're going to go ahead and do as much research on the Wolverines as possible.
All units.
Very effective against ground units, and we're already getting attacked again. Really? Okay, it looks like health-wise we're doing okay as far as the structures are concerned. This will change as soon as the
All units.
4th and 5th nodes become available, because they'll start sitting in locusts. But again, the quicker you are, the less damage they'll do.
Moving out. On the move.
Okay, so our Spartan shield is down at this point. And is that... No, that's just a Banshee. I thought hunters were back on the rise again. This mission stressed the hell out of me the first time around. And worst of all, I forgot to turn on my air conditioner. So when I finished playing 90 minutes after I started, again, I did win, but I was drenched in sweat.
All units.
You bet.
It can be very intense if you do not play this mission properly. I mean, look at this. I mean, I'm trying to defend the reactor, but I'm already getting attacked just constantly. So again, the bigger your ground force, the faster these guys will fall. And it does help keep Sergeant Forge alive because of his ramming ability. So it helps significantly against infantry.
Rolling. I'm going. Regeneration.
Now, if the attack on the reactor on the right is relatively small, then the Marines that are withstanding, or I guess taking place in the stronghold there, can fend them off. Just, you know, keep an eye on the health of the reactor so that if you need to heal it, you can. Typically, I try to reserve my heals later on in the mission for the Rhino at Node 1, because it seems to be the most frequently attacked. Sometimes Node 2, but by the time Node 4 comes out, which is also frequently attacked, you're already almost there anyway, and you're already deploying your 5th Rhino to Node 5, so it really doesn't make that big of a difference. The attacks are getting a lot more aggressive, but again, I am noticing that the hunters are not fully upgraded anymore. I don't know if it's because they just can't deploy hunters fast enough, so they're just sending whatever they have. But it is helping my turn of events quite well.
Base under attack.
So again, use canister attack whenever available on the hunters. Try to reserve them for them because they are the most deadly. And it looks like this time around we haven't lost as many units. We're finally getting enough of a ground force together where we can actually make most of them survive. Very good. And again, whenever you're done dealing... Whoa.
All units.
Okay, deal with the hunters. Deal with the hunters. There we go. Oh, and we're already getting attacked again, this time from the right-hand side. There are enemy bases over there towards the right, but we're not going to be dealing with them until the second half of the mission. As you can see, things are starting to get a lot more aggressive here, though. Banshee's getting more aggressive, so we definitely have to try to speed this up a little bit. Okay, ground forces at max occupancy. So now we're going to get our first Rhino in place to node 1. That's dead ahead. Fortunately, if you are keeping your Spartans alive in those towers, that will definitely help defend the Rhino.
Rhino is inbound.
All units.
So go ahead and send him to that first node. Defend him while you can.
Position 1.
And since we have our ground force upgraded to max capacity, this is when you start rushing the Rhino engagement.
Ready to go.
The quicker you do this, the less damage your base will sustain. Now, the Rhino itself is a pretty powerful tank, but you do not want to make that part of your force. You really just want to get them deployed as quickly as possible. And again, if they do get destroyed on their designated target areas, you can still replace them, but it just makes the mission take longer, and it puts a lot more pressure on your base.
Scorpion fueled and ready. Send us orders.
Now, unfortunately, it looks like our Scorpions and Wolverines are blocking our poor Rhino tank here.
Let's go. Out there.
Move, damn it!
Fueled up and rolling.
That is the one thing I dislike about this game, or one of the things anyway, is that the units are so freaking clumsy. I was going to say clumsy. Don't ask.
Control of that Rhino to calibrate the
This
shot.
video just became rated I for immature.
Rhinos are expensive. I've called for
Alright, so the first Rhino was up.
Check this one.
We're going to go ahead and deploy the second one. This push can be a little bit more devastating because the Covenant will start fighting over there from the left.
Rhino LRA plasma augment on its way.
So you're going to have to push. There are hunters involved.
I've marked the second
No vehicles yet.
Request another Rhino and get it to that site.
Let's go. I'm going. Running them over. Oh, perfect.
Okay, so we do have bases here. These are infantry outposts for the Covenant. So we're going to go ahead and nuke those as quickly as possible. And wow, are you serious? They just warped in a bunch of units out of nowhere. Oh, no cheating involved there, right? Go ahead and take out the shade turrets first. Hunter should be secondary. And then once those are out, go ahead and focus on the buildings as much as you can. I'm going to go ahead and try to heal my units because they already look like they're having a hard time. The Hunters really don't seem to be that much opposition though, because again, they're not fully upgraded at this point. And Jesus, there's another shade turret.
All units.
Go ahead and nuke that. Now focus on the buildings, that way they will stop churning out troops. This is kind of a turning point here. I wish they'd let you build bases where these things used to be. I guess they didn't want to make it that easy on you. Okay, so we dominated that pretty well.
Get a Rhino in place.
I'm working on it. Jeez. They keep dropping off hunters. What do you want me to do?
Base under attack.
And now my base is under attack again. Jesus. Okay, so what I'd like to do after I get these guys is try to back up my forces so the Rhino can actually get through. If it's too crowded, it's not going to do you any favors. Also, you want to try to keep this guy alive as long as possible. ODSTs are dropped off to help defend, but especially in locations 1 and 2, they're not going to last very long, so just keep an eye out on those nodes. That way you don't have to send replacements.
We're going. Rolling out.
So I'm trying to get my Rhino there now. He's having a hard time because apparently this is Virginia traffic congestion right here.
Regeneration ready.
Ugh.
Healing target.
Heal your units every chance you get. I'm not too worried about my base at the moment because we're on the offensive right now. We're not turtling in. And, oh, no.
All units.
And I'm pretty sure this Rhino has seen better days. And it's, yep, there it goes. Okay, so we got to get another one, unfortunately. That drop ship just seems to constantly drop off hunters and reinforcements at its own will. And it looks like my force, even as large as it is, does not seem to be able to destroy the dropship before it drops off the troops. Thank you, Halo Wars.
All units. Local units.
Alright, so we're going to try to deploy these guys over here for now, just so that the Rhino can get through. And we're going to keep a close eye on this Rhino to make sure that even if the Covenant do drop off forces, it's got plenty of support. And the nice thing about between nodes 1 and 2 is that you can keep your large force between them and have it be relatively effective at the same time. So we're going to keep an eye on our health on our buildings, our turrets. Keep these guys as fully healed as possible because you are going to be considering or getting a lot more attacks on them.
Local units.
Especially as the mission progresses. Looks like so far we're doing okay there, I guess because we're getting an attack from the east. Having an extra Scorpion there does help. And we're almost there, and what the...
Rhinos are in position and ready to fire.
What was that?
Firing rhinos in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's not enough. There's only 2. Honey,
All units.
you're a scientist. You should know this by now. If 1 couldn't do it, do you honestly expect 2 to do it? Okay, so Rhino number 3, slightly different problem once he actually highlights the area. You have to Pelican this guy over there. Do not waste any of your other units. 1 Rhino can take those guys out. It's very light infantry, and it will not be attacked afterwards, at least from what I can tell. Keep most of your concentration on protecting units 1 and 2, as well as defending your base. I mean, there seems to be no let up here at all. So again, it does take a lot of micromanaging to get this down. But at least the hunters are not quite as devastating as they were in the previous mission, which I am still cursing, because that was just unreasonable. Alright, looks like we're getting a little bit more effective against the dropships. We're still at a 40-40 population, which is very good. It means I haven't lost anyone in a little while. Let's see how quickly that changes. So we're going to deploy Rhino number 3 and Pelican him over to the other area. Once again, he can defend himself. So do not waste any time Pelicaning your other units over there to help protect him. Save those for nodes 4 and 5. Okay, I think we got it. So where are we going to drop it? Just making sure we're good here. I wanted to make sure I didn't select any other units. And we're going to drop him right. Move. There we go. And again, your Rhino tank with its upgraded plasma mortar should be able to withstand all Covenant infantry within that area. Meanwhile, your units here can help defend your base as well as the other 2 Rhinos, keeping them intact. And then we're going to do basically a monster rush on the last 2 nodes. Those 2 nodes produce vehicles, and especially locusts, and that's what we want to deal with the most, because those locusts are building killers. We do not want them around. So our Rhino is in place. I'm going to use the Y ability. It seems to be slightly more powerful if you do that. And go ahead and nuke the heck out of that ghost. Now focus on these guys. Again, going back and forth between here and your bases. It gets a little bit stressful because you're trying to keep your Rhinos alive. You're trying to keep your base alive. And as soon as we get our heal back up, I'll go ahead and heal that Rhino too because he's pretty low on health at this point. What happens is Banshees will be attacking those nodes, and there's not really a lot you can do about it. If you have units there, it will help protect them to a point, but your Rhinos are still going to take hits. So it seems to be a waste of resources to actually protect them. Being on the offensive seems to be a much better strategy, as well as protecting your base. I can't believe Sergeant Forge is still alive. That's got to be a first for me. Okay, so as you can see, the Rhino was very effective at destroying the infantry here. We're going to go ahead and... Okay, there we go. Got to unlock him first, I guess. Move him to that area, and that's 3 of the 5 nodes that are ready. And what is... Why are meteors hitting my freaking map?
2, 1.
Okay. Well, I was going to heal you, but fine. Be that way. See if I care. Shoot at the combat condom. And it... Okay. Oh, and here we go. Cockroaches. I'm sorry, locusts. Now here's where things start getting a little bit more intense. You really want to be on the offensive here. Go ahead and heal this guy because he's taken the most damage so far. Do keep an eye on node 2 at the same time. And this is where we're going to start really progressing. The faster you do this, the less vehicles they can churn out. There is a vehicle supply pad for the Covenant right there on node 4. And I believe on 5 as well. So the quicker you take those out, the better. As you can see, there's barely anything protecting it at this moment. If you wait a few minutes, there are going to be locusts and wraiths, and it's going to be devastating, as well as hunters are going to be backing it up as well. So you got to balance this between your base and the nodes, trying to take these guys out as quickly as possible. I think it probably just teleported some hunters here. No, maybe not. I always no, yes it did. I've come to expect it at this point. Alright, so no more vehicle reinforcements, so take out everything here. Once you do, retreat back. Again, keep a respectable distance between this and the base so that if you are getting attacked, you can go ahead and back up your base as quickly as possible. That may have been a wasteful heal, I'm not really sure. I'm going to see if I can get my vehicles back here just in time. Will it work? Will it work? Maybe not. Where are they? I'm going to start pulling Rhino number 4 so he can get to node number 4. And wow! No. I thought my turret survived. Apparently there was just too much damage sustained to it. So we're going to go ahead and send this to node number 4. And then we only have 1 left. Again, so far it looks like everything's been intact pretty well. Looking good on nodes 1 and 2. ODST seem to be holding up pretty well. Again, if you stay on the offensive rather than defensive in this mission, you are much, much better off. Node number 5 is slightly more challenging. We've got plasma turrets guarding, or shade turrets guarding the area, more vehicle depots, and there are more hunters here as well. These are fully upgraded hunters, so you do need to try to concentrate your fire on them. And again, just be aggressive. So we're almost there. We just got to get these last few guys. This is, again, a more challenging part. It looks like the wraiths aren't upgraded yet. Again, just because we're taking out this place fast enough. Again, if you waited too long, then the Covenant resistance here would be far more powerful than what you're dealing with right now. So do not hesitate. Do not turtle into your base in this mission. And it looks like we just got shields. Or what the Covenant did anyway. Alright, Wraith is down. Concentrate on the hunters next. We keep an eye on our base at the same time. It looks like we're doing okay for the most part. I'm kind of tempted to rebuild that turret. But I'm also afraid to not be managing these guys. Get that last rhino in place. Get him out there as quickly as possible, because as soon as you get all 5 rhinos up, the mission is over. We have secured node number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and send my ground force back to base. You really don't have any issues to worry about from here on out, just assaults on your base. You'll have a few Banshee attacks on your rhinos, but it looks like so far we're holding up at least long enough to get all 5 up and running. And, uh-oh. See if I can get my ground force over here real quick to help these guys out. Again, it's low-level infantry. And I know my guys are relatively close, so let's see if I can actually preserve this rhino. And come on. Almost, almost. Yes, and the rhino survived. Fantastic. Wow, I have not lost a rhino yet, except for the one I attempted to put on node 2. But all rhinos I have put in place so far have not been destroyed. That's pretty awesome. So we're going to keep the heals up on these guys. I'm going to get my Spartans and tanks back to base and get that rhino on node 5. Once again, as soon as all 5 rhinos are in place, the mission is over, no matter how under fire your base is. I'm going to go ahead and send a couple of tanks over there to node 4, since I've seen a couple of dropships head over in that direction. Go ahead and put up another turret and another supply pad. I don't really need it at this point, but it will be a distraction for other targets on the base. So at the very least it will help, and of course I've got almost 10,000 credits at this point, so I might as well utilize them. So I'm also going to send a few reinforcements over here too, just in case any stray Covenant try to destroy my Rhino.
Turret complete.
And here we are.
Supply pad.
Almost there. Come on, come on. We can do this. Got a rogue Banshee here, but I don't think he's going to do much good. And it looks like we are almost there. Come on! Ugh! And all 5 rhinos in place. None of my in-place rhinos have been destroyed. Fantastic!
2, 1.
Now let's watch some carnage. Now the mission isn't quite over yet. Even though they poke a hole in that bubble shield, you're going to get infinite Mac rounds to destroy what's inside.
Mac is coming online. Single
So at this point, the mission's in the bag. You can't really die at this point, so just nuke everything. I like to go for the command center first because screw the damn Covenant. And then just blast everything. It's kind of a fun part of the mission. So far, so good. And once this portion is done, the mission is complete. Now I'm curious to see what kind of rating I got on this, because I did far better this time than I did the last time. So once we get this done, almost there. Come on. I'm not really sure why they included this, but I guess it's a little bit fun. You know, raining meteors down on the Covenant base, aka Mac rounds. Fantastic. Mission is complete. Now let's see, what did I get here? And a gold rating on Legendary. Fantastic. Alright, well this has been Tyrant's Legendary walkthrough for Halo Wars Mission Dome of Light. If you like this video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for new Halo videos every single week. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.